I understand exactly where you're going. I'm just not sure, can we actually short the general fund? I mean, take it out of operations that, and let me back up a minute. Rather than take it and put it in the Parks and Rec, why can't we change the split and put more into like capital improvements? I mean, that's what I would think I would want to do with it. I understand where you're going, and I agree with you, but we shorted capital improvements and infrastructure improvements so much in this town. If we have some money, we can put back into that stuff. And I think that would be the more immediate benefit to the city. You know, if we're talking about fixing roads, storm drains. I mean, whatever we can use them for. Updating equipment, things like that's broken. I guess it just depends on how much of the carryover we actually have, or I want to make sure we're not just kind of like living the dream now. We're actually going to have that money, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I just don't think we should be giving them back to Parks and Rec right now. I think I'd rather see it be used for capital improvements to change this way. That's just my opinion.
I can tell you, Mr. Chopin, one of the first things I wanted to do when we started this conversation, I wanted to ask Mr. Cover for the next meeting if we could see an example budget with the split at a different rate. So we would have the current split at 99.1 and see what the budget would also look like if we moved it to say 98.2. And how does that impact our city? If we could get something like that, it's something
we could, if we still have a carryover, maybe we could reach a happy medium between both of these.
That would be my thought. I'm more pressed because we keep talking about how we have come out of the deficit and now we have the carryover. But I've said since day one that we may have overcome our fiscal deficit, but we still very much have a capital improvements deficit that is out there. That if we were to take a grand total, would probably cost us over $1 million, in the millions of dollars, to be able to get our roads back to operational, get all our fleet back to operational, get everything else in the city back to where it needs to be. And I shouldn't say operational, but back up to a better standard. It's probably a better term to use. We still need to tackle that deficit as well. And I'm kind of in the same boat as Mr. Chauvin that I would like to see any money that we can be funneled into capital improvements. I think 99.1 is an embarrassment. I think 98.2 is still an embarrassment, but at least it's going in the right direction.
I think the additional 1% would move $128,000 out of the general fund. And right now, it's budgeted within $2,800. If I may, we will probably have an answer on whether or not the FEMA grant is rewarded to us in April or May. I think we can have some better dialogue then about what Mr. Manson is suggesting and then moving the split to.
Mr. Mason.
Well, I don't agree with you guys, but in the case of moving forward and seeing some of these things, I think I'd like to see us prepare an ordinance that says anytime this year, if we recertify up our original certification, that before any of that is appropriated, we sit down and discuss the amount and where it's to be appropriated, not come to us as a recommendation from anybody. I believe it should come to us to look where we want to spend that. We recertified last year, nobody knew anything that was going on with recertification, exactly where the money went. A lot of it went to police and fire pensions because we under budget. We knew they were under budgeted from the beginning of the year last year. Correct?
Correct.
So we're in a situation now where we are in the black, and I agree, we're millions behind on streets and equipment. We're also way behind on paying our part of the debt golf course too. Like I said, that's been a constant source of aggravation now since it happened. When we were giving them $350,000 a year, they didn't say a word. they've said since then, I've heard it repeated many times, if we gave them $250 a year, they wouldn't even be complaining now. So I don't want to see new revenue coming in this year, and hopefully we are going to be recertifying. Hopefully the income tax will be up this year, and I feel pretty confident it will, because we're going to collect a lot because of the reduction in the tax credit for people that live in Massillon and work out of town. That's going to be coming in starting in March and April. We are going to get more revenue, but I would like to know when we do recertify, and then we have a debate about how we intend to spend that money. Everything is paid. I'm being told everything is paid, everything is funded right at this point in time.
And that, yeah, the same message I'm getting, but obviously it's projections, because we have an ordinance right now before us that's asking for $123,000 out of the carryover.
That is a carryover, that's what I'm talking about.
So we do know there will be some expenses coming in, and we also know I would assume there'd be a recertification as well, because we've seen recertifications every year. I would have to disagree with you in the sense that every time we do get recertified from the auditor, we do get a recommendation. True, it's a recommendation. She already takes the time to map out what she feels would be the best way to have this allocated. But very much like we did tonight with the recommendation from the park board, we can tear that up at any time we want and move numbers around.
We say that, but we don't do it, we haven't done it.
I don't know if an
That's
ordinance
not
would fix
serious.
that. I don't know if we can make an ordinance that says, auditor, please don't give us the recertification with recommendations, leave a blank slate. I can.
No, they just recertify the revenue. We do the appropriations anyhow, in the end.
Correct.
All they do is certify the revenue.
Correct.
If we did it Mr. Chokin's way, could we possibly still do both things?
Yeah, that's what I was saying right at the end of it. Maybe, okay, well, let's certify and how much we have in left from the carryover. I mean, there could be a way to, accommodate it.
Exactly.
But what Mr. Kohler is saying, I think we need to be cognizant of, is he's essentially saying if we move it to say a 98.2, that's $128,000, that he either has to shortfall somebody that's already funded the general fund or take it out of the carryover in order to make up that difference. And I'm starting to reach my threshold now when that carryover starts dipping below 400,000. I'm starting to get to my panic, saying, wait a minute, that might not be strong or smart governance at this time.
So if it's not two, we're paying 98.2, about
99 and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
We can look at that. You went to 98 and a half to 1.5, you'd have to take out 64,000. So, and I'm in agreement. I mean, $64,000 is new cruisers.
Both sides, exactly.
What did we estimate the income tax revenue at the 25% reduction in the tax credit? Put in 500 and some $1,000.
550.
550. So
That's for a full year's collection.
right, 550. Okay, so we only did that for 6 months last year. So that'd be about $275,000.
We've yet to receive the bulk
That
of
we should.
that.
That's the point I'm getting to. We have probably received very little of it.
Correct.
So we probably have $275,000 more coming in by April 15th.
Actually, that is in the auditor's certificate. There were certain allowances made for this year's
Okay.
revenue.
So we have appropriated all of that so far.
We gave it a
In this
haircut.
in this budget that we are going to be approving, we have appropriated that whole $275,000.
There's a haircut on that,
What's there?
4%.
Okay. What's that for?
In case we don't get that exact amount, because that's the agreement. It's easier to appropriate more than to pull back.
Ms. Del Rio Kelly.
On those same lines as Paul just asked you, what is the Park and Rec Department Do you remember what the number is that Park and Rec is actually getting now because of the tax?
110,000.
Okay, so Park and Rec is gonna get an additional 110,000 we've not had before
Right.
because of the tax credit. Thank you.
Can you possibly, I know, just one, I know it was extra work, we see what 98 and a half and 1.5 would look like. Would you be able to generate that?
Why don't you do 95.5 and 98.2, do several,
Because we know we can't afford that.
do several and look at it. I mean, it's only gonna take you about 30 seconds longer to do that. He's gonna take the 1% what it generates, and that's it. The point is, this carryover we had, everybody starting to chew into it right now, okay? And I would like to see it spent in some of the areas that we have been short shifting for the last 3 years.
I agree that's been chewed into, however, we started off with about $758,000. About $350,000 to $400,000 if it was something that we could not control. The 27th pay, we have to take care of it. We don't have a certificate that covers it, so we had to chew into it. So that took care of almost half of that carryover. And then one new claim for $123,000. That's it. So it's not everyone, it's one claim for $123,000. And I just want us to be cautious, that's all. Ms. Gatlin.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I don't have these in my, have this in my notes. I know we don't find out about FEMA until, we said April or May. Is this budget with the fire being fully funded, is that including the FEMA grant? Or I guess what I'm getting at is if we do not get the FEMA grant of the extension, are we gonna have to scramble to find money to fund this?
No, it is not included.
It's not included, okay. And refresh my memory, how much, if we are so lucky enough to get the FEMA grant again, what is that figure again?
That would probably be 2 years for 7 firefighters.
That's 600 a year.
About 578,000 a year.
587,000. Okay. So like I said, if we are so lucky enough to get that, and then when we find out in April or May, that's the amount that we're talking about. 587, okay. That's my question.
I tend to personally be of the wisdom right now and agree, disagree. I would love to see it go to 98, 95. I would love to see us being able to start to take care of some of that bond issue with the golf course. However, right now before us, we have a fully funded budget that still allows us to have our carryover. I am fairly certain that we should see some recertifications coming over the course of the year. I think the FEMA grant is another possibility that we have. I think as a council, we need to look at those and say, you know, exactly as Mr. Manson was saying, when the recertification comes, we need to be committed as a council to tackle the capital improvements. I mean, we can at that time say, you know what, let's get those new plow trucks that we need. Let's go ahead and fully implement that comprehensive vehicle replacement program that I've been talking about since last fall. Let's start doing these things that need to be done. But at the time, I personally don't want to take our carryover too low, because you never know. You know, I don't raise my kids to not have a savings account. I'm not going to run the city without a savings account. It doesn't make sense. And I just want to be mindful of it. I guess the other thing I want to say, Mr. Coer, I've said since the beginning that we as a council cannot pass this budget without seeing the new fiscal plan. I've seen nothing of it yet. I hope we see it soon.